Alena wasn't looking for anything when she turned into a narrow side street to get away from the crowd's murmur. She had grown used to seeing the same tables, the same frames, the same yellowed books at the antique market for years. But that morning, a stall caught her eye. In an unnoticed corner, hidden under a rain-soaked plastic sheet, there was a single roll. As she drew closer, she realized it was an old map. The seller's face was so blurred it could hardly be remembered. His eyes were dull, and with a voice that was barely there, he simply said, "It belongs to you." Alena hesitated for a moment, then reached out and noticed the map was warm. Not like paper, like living skin, slightly damp and warm. When she lifted her head, the seller was gone. There was no one at the stall. Only the map remained. As soon as she returned home, she spread it on her desk. Its edges looked burned in places the ink had run. At first glance, it resembled the central regions of Anatolia, but most cities were missing. The roads twisted to nowhere. The rivers flowed into nothing. At the center was a blotch of reddish ink, Kıraç. She searched online, but found nothing. She looked at academic maps. Nothing. And yet a voice inside her whispered, "It exists. You just have to find it." 2 days later, driven by an unbearable urge, she packed her backpack. She turned on her GPS, trying to head toward the coordinates that matched the mark on the map, but the device kept failing. Still, the further she walked, the more the roads changed. Asphalt ended, replaced by rocky, barren soil. As the sun slid west, a village appeared before her. It had no sign, but this had to be Kıraç. When she entered the village, a strange silence greeted her. The doors of the houses were ajar, smoke rose from chimneys, but no one was visible. As she walked through the street, she felt eyes on her. The first person she encountered was an old woman. The woman looked at her and smiled, but not in welcome, more like someone who had been waiting a long time for her. "Alena," the woman said, though the name had never been spoken aloud. At last. She thought of turning back, but when she looked behind her, the road she had come from was gone. The narrow lane wound between stone walls, leading only deeper into the village. She opened the map. Yes, there was a square marked in the village center. The woman lifted her hand and pointed toward the square. Alena didn't even need to hurry. Her feet carried her there anyway. In the middle of the square stood a stone well. Children sat on its edge, staring at her silently. Their eyes held no tears, their faces no expression, but their gaze pierced with patient intensity. Alena tried to speak, but no sound came. Her throat was bound by an invisible knot. She took a step back, almost tumbling into the well. She opened the map. The red mark had grown, spreading across the entire sheet. The map pulsed, vein-like, as if alive. Then everyone moved at once. People emerged from the houses. Old, young, women, men. All arranged themselves around the square in perfect unison. None spoke. They only fixed their eyes on Alena. Clutching the map, her heart pounded against her ribs, and in that instant she understood. These were not people. Their faces bore a deep familiarity. In the children's gaze, she saw her own pupils. In the women's smiles, her own features. In the men's stride, her own walk. The whole village was made of pieces of her. A voice rang inside her skull. Whoever finds the map finds themselves. Whoever finds themselves takes their place. She tried to stand, but her legs had turned to stone. From the well rose a low hum, a sound wave that pulled her inward. The crowd closed in, forming a circle. The old woman at the front spoke again. "Take your place, Alena. With you, we will be complete." She tried to tear the map, but it wasn't paper. It stretched like flesh. Instead of ripping, it clung tighter. The map grew veined, the red stain flowing like blood. The more she struggled, the more it fastened to her hands. Suddenly, the crowd fell silent. One of the children leapt into the well, then another. Then all of them, one by one, plunged into the darkness. The adults followed, walking calmly into the void, as though answering an endless invitation. One by one, without a sound, they vanished. When the square was empty, only the old woman remained. She stepped close, leaned to Alena's ear. Her breath was not warm, it was ice cold. "You are the last," she said. "The village was us." "Now it will be you," Alena tried to scream, but her vocal cords were locked. The map lifted her arms upward. The red mark throbbed like a heartbeat. And then she understood. The map wasn't of the village, it was of her own body. The veins of ink were veins of blood. The texture she thought was earth was her own skin. The village was inside her. The old woman melted before her eyes. The well inhaled, a deep breath pulling the air inward, and Alena's body grew lighter. Her feet slid forward against her will. The last thing she remembered was the map sealing over her eyes and falling into darkness. When she opened them again, she stood in the same square. But now the village wasn't silent. People poured from the houses. Children laughed, women chatted, men worked. They looked normal, except every single one of them bore her face. The same eyes, the same mouth, the same skin. She was now inside the village, or the village was inside her. At the entrance of the village, a sign swayed gently in the wind. New letters shimmered into view. Alena. And back in the city, in the narrow alley of the antique market, beneath the rain-stained plastic, a new map roll waited.